Welcome into our next leg on the race around the world here at Pitstop Pals, part of the Reality Realm Network. My name is Kevin Oliver.
And my name is Bruce Heller, and we have a special guest with us for this episode recap from Bracketology TV Fantasy Reality. We have our friend Jonah here,
Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Great to chat again.
who we just saw last week at a party in Chicago in person for a different show that the Reality Realm Network covers. So if you listen to Tribal Council Chat, my other show, you've probably heard Jonah's voice before. He's been on with us once there too. So
Great
nice
to
to
make
talk
a
TV with you again, but a different show this time.
Oh, you know it. You guys you're my bread and butter here, my OG reality TV fans. I'm glad we can take the chat from Survivor to Amazing Race.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
My second time on a podcast with you, Kevin's first, but Kevin's met you in person and Brett hasn't, so it's close enough.
I
Yeah.
win. I think I win.
I, I think you do too. He was on the podcast with him first, but you met him, so I think you
Yeah.
probably win.
I think so.
And I've been using bracketology longer than both of you. So,
Yeah,
I like
you're the reason I heard it. You're who introduced it to me actually.
yes, sir.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
So
Yeah. So do we want to get in first impressions? What do you think of the episode, Jonah?
Um, well, it was an interesting one because we had our U-turn and the live vote. Um, and ultimately, I mean, we'll get into it later. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I was pretty bummed about who went home. I thought uh I thought the why is my brain stopped working? The detours. It's always fascinating to me how complex they make um
hmm
the sweat challenge versus the savvy challenge. I know that that's a Survivor term, but that's how I categorize it in my brain.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
it's always fascinating. So I thought that one was cool. I'm forgetting what the roadblock was. I don't know why my brain.
It was paddle out into a crowd of like 100 surfers and find the one person that has the same board decal as you.
That's right. That's right. Looked kind of fun. I mean, I wouldn't mind jumping in the ocean on a hot day, but
It looks fun. I feel like it would take me forever unless I just got so lucky that the first board I swam. The first board I moved up to had the same decal as me, like someone had happened.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
think
yeah,
that was Erica
I
that
think
had
it
that
proved to
happen.
be to be kind of a needle in the haystack kind of challenge, but um, the actual challenge itself would be a blast.
It looks like a blast. I would get annoyed with myself after a little while for not finding it because I feel like I'm an unobservant person anyway, so I'd start blaming myself probably. But I'd like to just do what Erica did, and the first board I swim up to has the right decal, and then I'm done.
wouldn't
Amen.
that be awesome? You go buy a lottery ticket after that.
Yeah. So I also love that we started out at the Sacred Monkey Forest Sanctuary. This place was really cool.
Yeah, they were like literal monkeys just chilling there staring at you. It was pretty good.
So diving into the beginning of the episode, then I'll let Kevin drive again because he's better at it. Jonah, we start with this like live double U-turn vote. What are your thoughts on this? Because Kevin and I kind of come at it from different perspectives.
I really liked it actually. I think it adds a unique aspect to the game the past few seasons that I've watched Amazing Race, and I'd love to hear your guys' take on this too. It drives me nuts when teams will like complete challenges together. And I know that that's part of the show is like this social strategy dynamic,
Yeah,
but it's less a part of the show in my mind than Survivor and Big Brother when it comes to alliances. And I would
yeah,
rather see the individual team's merit come into play. On the flip side of that, I really liked this live vote. So you kind of vocalize, there's this element of strategy, I think, in the
yeah.
game here that comes into play that might not be super prominent in previous seasons. Um, so I thought it added a nice aspect to the show.
Yeah, hate it. I don't love it either. I get the wanting to add strategy. It just feels out of place to me.
In a bad way or a good way?
I don't know. Well, like first off, I don't know. Maybe this is just how Scott like a lot of it was admittedly Scott and Lori, and I know we like them, but like it kind of feels like the like it being mandatory and it being live feels like it's meant to cause drama more than anything, which
But
kind of isn't the vibe of this show as much as it is with Survivor or the challenge. And
I
then
I agree. I think that's one of my like points of critique for The Amazing Race is I
yeah,
think you can still have these like strategy and skill-based games plus the cultural aspect plus the social strategy and intricacy
yeah.
and again like I've disclosed in the past before I started Bracketology I wasn't really a huge reality TV fan so I haven't seen a ton of seasons and maybe that sort of element was more present in previous Amazing Race seasons. Am I wrong, or was it
It's been more lately, I think.
more lately?
I haven't seen every season, but I
um,
and that's kind of one thing I like about it is that it's different than all these other shows and doesn't have as much. It, for lack of a better term, it's a friendlier show. It doesn't have that drama aspect. So this just kind of felt weird and out of place to me. And one thing my mom mentioned that I kind of agree with, but not quite to the extent, is like shows like Survivor or The Challenge or Big Brother, you get targeted and eliminated and kind of punished for being good in a way. And this isn't a show where that usually happens. So, like, I don't hate this the way I feel like some people online do. It just feels kind of weird and out of place to me.
the Amazing Race fan page that I'm on Facebook very much did not like this at all. But I personally very much enjoyed it. Me and Bruce kind of debated about this the other day. Is with this, yes, it's not what the race normally is, but I feel like saying that being good never gets you punished on the Amazing Race is also not accurate because
Yeah,
at any point a U-turn has been a part of the race
yeah,
since early on. And so I mean the first team a lot of times will always U-turn their biggest competition. So it's always been
yeah,
there. This was just more out loud. And I think the only critique I have with this specific um, structure was I wish they would have done it at the very beginning before they went to the monkey forest and then still sent everybody off in their time increments that they got to the pit stop by
yeah.
instead of everybody leaving the monkey forest at the same time.
I feel like I'm probably a middle ground between like you guys and the Facebook group you're in. Because like I don't absolutely hate it. I just don't love it either.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of it for me is like you said, yes, U-turns have always been a thing. Other than like two times, they've always been optional though. If you don't want to make waves or you don't want to start stuff, you can choose not to.
Correct. We've had two U-turn votes prior to this in 31 and 35. One of those was out in the open, and one of them was an anonymous vote.
I think the mandatory thing kind of is what I get hung up on, but it's more so just it feels like it's meant to cause drama, and that just hasn't been this show usually. But it did what it was if it was meant to cause drama, it accomplished that pretty quickly here.
Were you guys surprised by the results of the vote?
No, not
No,
at all. Those have been two of the best teams. I was kind of surprised by the reaction to it of I'm as hurt as if my kids would have voted for me. And then
I
Lori
don't.
says we're not friends anymore to all the other groups.
I don't know if it was overly smart, considering I don't. Though those two have been up to the front, I think that arguably Carson and Jack might be dangerous than either of them.
Oh,
More dangerous.
totally agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree. Half of it felt like revenge for Jonathan and Anna. I mean, they were a decent team, but revenge for the rice and the amount of weight awarded at the previous episode. But uh, I don't think that Jonathan and Anna or Scott and Lori are the necessary top two threat teams. I think Carson and Jack, and I think Brett and Mark are dangerous.
I
Yeah.
agree. Brett and Mark were my my number one power ranking coming off week one. So
And
Yeah.
they've had a couple like back of the pack finishes, but one of them was not their fault at
The
all.
Ernest thing was terrible.
Yeah. So like I don't know how they or Carson and Jack are not getting clocked as bigger threats, but I know
And
both of
Nick
them
and
are.
Mike get a vote. That was weird.
Yeah, that was Jonathan and Anna gave them that vote,
Yeah,
or
I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah. I think they're not getting clocked because Jonathan and Anna have been first or second so much. I mean, Carson and Jack have too, but and I think also like people were saying last week they're kind of tired of Scott and Laura's like, oh, we're the old slow team
Right.
and like tired of that act, which it does kind of feel like an act if you look at their they seem like super nice, genuine people. So like they probably mean what they're saying, but when they're finishing the way they are, that would be annoying.
But if you look at just like the demographic makeup of the other teams, like they're not the most physically gifted, and they
No.
are doing a really good job. And I think to me, both votes felt slightly more emotional than
Yeah.
they did long-term strategy.
I think there's some sort of disconnect with Scott and Lori and everyone else between like everyone venting about them last week and then the U-turn vote this week.
Well, they're overplaying their "woe is me, I'm an old couple." That's what it comes down to.
Oh yeah.
I think that there's merit to what they're saying, but when you say it all the time, people are going to get tired of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I get being upset about being double U-turned, but I feel like their reaction was a little bit strong on that one.
I also am in alignment with that.
They seem really likable. I just wasn't a fan of them in that moment where it's you guys are the same thing as my kids voting me out.
Yeah, but emotions run high at that point.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
totally get it. I'm just like kind of like okay.
There's that unwanted drama, Bruce, that you're talking about is what this
This is
provided.
about the same time I was writing down my double U-turn notes also. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have this vote, and then we see everybody but Jonathan and Anna vote for Jonathan and Anna or Scott and Lori, with the Scott and Lori votes coming from Brett and Mark, Han and Holden, Melinda and Erica, and Nick and Mike, and then the other four voting for Jonathan and Anna. And we go straight into a detour from here. Coconuts or coral? What do you guys think of those? Coconuts or coral?
these look fun. Well, look not fun, but like interesting. The coconut one looks exhausting, and the coral one would frustrate me because you have to be so intricate with it and pick the exact right pieces.
Which one would you guys choose?
Coral.
Yeah, I I would not be good at either of them, so I would just let Kevin pick if the two of us were together.
Yeah, my best friend and I actually recently applied for the Amazing Race, and he's my roommate, and we'll sit on the couch and we'll watch every episode together, and we will like we'll talk it out live, be like, oh, which one would we do
Yeah,
if we were there? I think we would probably do the coconut one because my buddy is like this physical freak of nature who can wake up on a Saturday morning and run a half marathon. And
yeah,
uh, so I think we probably align more with that. I personally align more with like detail oriented things.
yeah.
Which makes you guys a great team.
That's what we're saying. If you're listening, Amazing Race Casting, we'd be a great team. So I think we probably would have leaned towards the coconut one, but if had we been the team that got double U-turned, or just got U-turned, I think that we would be able to complete both of them, hopefully.
Yeah. The thing with the coconut one that I think, because I'm not super detail oriented sometimes, but like with the coconut one, the bike would throw me off. And we saw that with Jonathan and Anna of weight shifts on that bike, and all of a sudden it falls over again.
But it's one person's fault, you know.
Always got to hold the bike up.
Okay, but you'd be fussing at me if I dropped the bike.
I'd be fussing at you before we started the challenge, probably, because I would not want to be there.
What I didn't understand is why didn't like the faster person run back and then one of them bike back? You know, like after you dropped off the coconuts,
Right.
no
That's
one
a good
used the bike
idea.
Yeah, they
as a
just
bike.
walked the bike. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like if you have someone that's faster, why wouldn't you just have them jog and have the slower person just take the bike back on the bike,
That's a good
drive.
idea. That thought did not cross my mind at all. But
I wondered it briefly, but then I don't know. I didn't know if there was some kind of rule or something. I didn't know if there was something we didn't see.
I do love with Coral that we got like a whole spiel about Carson and Jack figuring out that the corals were different colors and you don't just tie them on there. You have to be so specific about it.
It's
And
amazing to me that more people don't pick up on that in some of these challenges. Like the mind challenges, you have to be detail oriented. You're
yeah.
not just tying 18 pieces of coral to a six-legged spider-looking grate. Like you got to think a little more
And
in depth than that.
as they're saying that, Jonathan and saying that we don't think you're supposed to do that, Jonathan and Anna show up and do that.
Of course.
I like her. She's fun.
Yes. Yes. I like Anna.
I find myself rooting for them a little bit just because I want to be right. Because after the premiere, I put them at the top of my power rankings, and I didn't make an official winner pick, but I said they seem like the best team. So if they win, I'm gonna claim I was right. But I
Would you
also
like to
won't be
modify that?
disappointed if they don't win.
Also, Bruce, if you mention since week 1, I've been talking about how I don't like Jonathan and how
Yeah, I'm with you on that now.
yeah, you thought I was crazy for like 2 weeks.
I didn't think you were crazy. It just I wasn't seeing it, but I see it now.
I saw it from week 1. It's just like the little off comments that he makes. It's
Is he Vinny yet?
He might be. I couldn't stand Vinny last season.
I don't know. They're both. He's Vinny in a different font.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they.
They're very similar.
I don't. I mean, I alluded to this with you guys before we started recording, but I made a video kind of showing the dichotomy between how Scott and Lori treat each other versus how Jonathan treats Anna, and I mean, the dude is just so belittling. And if you heard his post race confessional, he's talking about, oh, this is how I didn't expect my race to go, and I can physically outcompete everyone here, and all about me, me, me. Like, dude, this is a team
Yeah.
game. This is not just the Jonathan show. Like, you're here with your wife competing in this life-changing experience game. And if you're treating her like this on national television, I'm like worried for her a little bit of what goes on in the home. And maybe the stakes of this are elevated and the pressure's just getting there, but there's no excuse to treat your significant other like this.
Completely agree.
It's
And even beyond that, when you were referencing his post race confessional, and he's talking about how I can beat everybody and all this stuff, I think back to when they had just finished their 2 detours, getting ready to go to the roadblock, and he's sitting there. He's talking about how over sun exposure is giving him this headache, and he has to sit there and drink this water. No, I'm not going to keep moving on. It's like, if you're acting like that, how do you think that you can outdo everybody?
totally
Yeah.
just, I mean, he's taking naps on the surfboard after the roadblock. Like, just the guy is a narcissist and has no self-awareness.
Yeah.
Wouldn't hand the clue over to Anna so that while he put the board up?
I mean, literally, he's a child in a grown man's body.
Yeah. Kevin was right. I didn't see it yet after the first episode. Oh gosh, that's gonna get clipped for social of me saying he was
Yes,
right
it
there.
is.
But
Kevin
I
is right.
didn't see it after the first episode, but it's getting worse and worse each episode.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So like we said, detour coconuts versus coral. They had to take 60 coconuts by bike from one location to another, stack them up, or coral, attach 18 pieces of coral to a spider metal thing and then take it out and drop it at the bottom of the ocean. Two of the teams, obviously, Jonathan and Anna, Scott and Lori, had to do both of these. But other than that, we had Nick and Mike, Alyssa and Josiah, Melinda and Erica, Pops and Jeff and Hunter and Holden all do coconuts. Carson and Jack and Brett and Mark are the only ones that chose to do coral on their own. And then we move on to, we get route info to go to NASA Duo Beach for your next clue. Before we leave the detour, though, I wanted to mention on this coral thing, Jonah, you were talking about how attention to detail is important. It really surprised me that you had somebody like Scott and Lori, who I feel like this detail stuff is right in their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Took like 8 tries to get it, while you have like, I don't know, Brett and Mark and Nick and Mike who are getting it on 1 or 2 tries before. But it really blew my mind, because what I've been saying about Scott and Lori is they're not going to be the most physical team, but they're going to make up for that with these more skill-based tasks. And I felt like they did not live up to what they've been doing so far here.
I will give them props because I feel like I've been a little hard on them this episode with their U-turn reaction. Their plan of do the coconuts first and then do coral second and use that to recuperate physically, very smart.
Agreed. Agreed.
So good for them on that, man. But yeah, it surprised me too that they struggled with the coral. I thought they would fly through that one pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. And then I thought Anna wasn't gonna be able to get in the water there when we found out that she drowned as a kid or whatever. But
yeah, that was wild.
But we got through it, and on to the roadblock. Who wants to meet their match? We find out that Bali is the surfing mecca of Asia, and they have to choose a board to paddle, or a surfboard, and then paddle out and find a matching decal on a board. We kind of talked
they're
about
paddling into a crowd of like 100+ surfers.
Yes,
and I think there's only one match, isn't there?
Yeah.
This would take me hours, I feel like. And I might paddle past the match a couple times and not realize it.
Yeah, I mean, you got the waves too that are like, it's not like they're stationary either. Like the waves are moving the surfers around, even if they're not paddling. Like it would be hard to remember where you've been and who you've checked. And I think maybe 1 or 2 teams didn't even recognize at the beginning that it was a decal matching challenge, and they thought that the color of the surfboard had to match. Maybe it was Han and no,
Carson and Jack.
Yeah, it was Carson and Jack. But I think once you realized what the challenge was, it's another one of those like physical challenges where it's just like you got to grind until you find it, and then once you do, it's pretty simple. So I thought it was a cool challenge. I would like to do it. I didn't think it was like overly mentally stimulating by any means. But no real complaints. It's cool to see. Can you guys surf?
No. Well, not really. I've done a little like wave rider thing at a water park one time, but when I tried to do it standing up, I fell. So
yeah, I've tried surfing twice in my life. I was horrendous both times. So I'm just glad that they didn't have. Oh yeah, I'm glad they didn't have to stand up and try to catch some waves, and it was more just paddling out there.
It does make me laugh because Bethany Hamilton, whose Soul Surfer was based off, has been on a season and won. What's it called? What was it, Kevin? Like when you have to run off and do a side quest to get an extra advantage, but only one team gets it?
Oh,
Express Pass?
Yeah, there was an Express Pass, and Bethany Hamilton went to do it, and her partner, because unless you're Jonathan, it's a team game. And it was like one of those water park surfing simulators for the professional surfer.
Well, hey, good for her. That's an electric Express Pass. That sometimes it just fits your skill set.
That was fantastic. But my only note from this surfing challenge, and I alluded to it earlier, is Erica needs to buy a lottery ticket after this.
Yeah. Amen.
I was shocked at her just swimming up and the first board she sees is the right one.
Were they talking about how normally she would have had Melinda want to do this roadblock because Erica's done most of them, but Melinda was pretty wiped out? Or was
Yeah,
that last
Maybe.
episode?
I
yeah, that
think
was
I
this
remember
episode.
hearing that.
That was this episode, right? Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's been interesting to see like the breakdown so far of what roadblocks each pair are assigning to each other. And I'm curious to see how that's going to come into play moving forward because obviously I know that they have to do an equal amount.
They're a fun team. I like Melinda and Erica. They don't get a ton of screen time, I feel like, but
Yeah. Pops and Jeff also haven't really gotten a ton of screen time, but they're pretty likable too.
I love them, but I'm biased because they're from the next town over from where
I'm not hearing anybody.
you can't hear us?
We can hear you.
Uh-oh. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can now. I couldn't before.
Oh, weird.
We were talking about Pops and Jeff and Melinda and Erica being really likable but not getting much screen time.
Yeah, on our socials, on our Amazing Race winners and losers, one of my awards is the most purpled, and that was definitely Pops and Jeff in the last episode. I haven't even thought about what I'm gonna do for this week, but Pops and Jeff have not been getting a lot of screen time. I would agree with that.
They moved forward this week, though. They're all the way up to fourth place now.
But they did name the episode.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's not personal, it's business by Jeff.
And so
that's one of our fantasy rules. So if a team is the inspiration for the episode title, you get 5 fantasy points if you got them on your team. So I
Nice.
also was tracking that.
On advanced picks.
Yep.
Is Survivor that way too?
Yep. Survivor, you also get points for if you have the person on the team on your team
Nice.
that the episode.
By the
I
way,
hear the phrase "it's not personal, just business," and my mind goes to Survivor All Stars because that was a whole storyline that season. But
mm-hmm.
and we learn as teams are finishing paddling, our pitch is the Taksu art stage.
Yeah. Real quick. It wasn't the express pass you were talking about with Bethany Hamilton, Bruce. It was the fast forward.
Fast forward, that's it.
Which means that you do that and then you just get to go to the pit stop. You don't have to do the rest of the challenges for the episode.
Interesting. Well, she should buy the lottery ticket and not Erica for finding the decal.
Yeah. The professional surfer that had a surfing movie made about her getting the surfing challenge was fantastic.
To be fair, she had a surfing movie made about her because she got her arm bit off.
Yeah. She also,
that's
fun
not
fact,
as fantastic.
She was also on, I believe, the last season of The Masked Singer.
The Masked Singer, yes.
Yeah. But also, like, the odds of a shark attack are also really low. So the lottery ticket might still be in play.
That's true.
It's totally unrelated note. I just watched a video on TikTok of a dude windsurfing and getting hit by a breaching whale. So talk about 1 in a million. I mean, the ocean's massive, and a whale just decides, woo, and the guy gets knocked off his windsurfing board while he's in the middle of the ocean. Absolutely nuts. Anywho, I got nuts. Yeah, ow.
Both hitting
Jonah,
the whale and hitting the surface of the water.
Yeah. I wanted to say, I'm currently in 12th place in the Bracketology Official Amazing Race League.
No way. Look at
almost
in the top 10, Kevin.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's impressive.
And I am in the top 10 I'm number 7 out of 753 in Next Level Chefs. So
okay, you just got it. Listen, hey, you're gonna have to give us. I'm not doing nearly as well, so you're gonna have to give us some strategy of who we should be picking in our next episode when we cap off this recap.
Yeah,
fair enough.
So, Taksu Art Stage is our pit stop. That place looks cool. I mean, the pit stops always look cool, but
they always do. I think for me, like just experiencing those cultural moments would be one of the coolest parts.
Yeah.
Stunning scenery all over the place. They pick some great parts. And actually, my favorite things are when they, uh, I don't know, Jonah, how long have you been watching The Amazing Race? Just a couple years
Yeah,
now?
I think only since season 34.
34?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first our first rewatch we did was of season 25. And one of their, I, I can't remember what town they were in, but they were like, they did a whole episode in the slums of a South American country.
Oh, wow.
Philippines.
And what'd you say, Bruce?
Philippines.
In the maybe I guess it wasn't a South American country. Anyway, a whole in the slums of the Philippines, and um, even when it's not like this beautiful scenery, being able to see how these different teams react and interact with their surroundings, and um, like a lot of them were like moved and into a feeling of care for these people in these countries, and
Totally.
it was beautiful.
And actually, I think that's one thing we briefly glossed over. Wasn't it at this episode where they spent the night at the locals' houses at the very
Yeah,
beginning?
at the very beginning, after they got to the last pit stop, they stayed the night
Yeah.
at the
That would be
houses.
really, really cool. I would really enjoy that part.
Yeah, same. I forgot about that, honestly.
Yeah, I had it written down, but then we kind of jumped right into
Jumped into the drama.
Yeah.
the double U-turn vote, and that was before
Into the
that. So
monkey forest, which I want to go visit now.
you want to go visit everywhere we talk about on this show,
That is
Bruce,
not true. I have no desire to go make a penjor from last week.
but you still want to go to Bali.
Well, true. I feel like most people would like to visit Bali, though. That's not just me.
Yeah,
Amen.
I don't want to make a penjor, though. That's no, thank you.
that's fair. That's fair. How about a Pajigan?
Honestly, both of those look bad for me.
Which one was which? Which one was the fruit basket?
Pajigan.
I would do that one.
Yeah, the other one is way too detail oriented for my skill set.
Agreed.
I
I'm
don't
with
know how I would do it traveling with it on my head for that long afterwards, though.
Yeah.
you. Kind of fun.
So Brett and Mark win the leg.
You get $10,000.
Yes. Jack and Carson second. Then Alyssa and Josiah, Pops and Jeff, Han and Holden, Melinda and Erica, Nick and Mike, and Jonathan and Anna in eighth. And Scott and Lori unfortunately come in ninth and are eliminated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Brett and Mark jumped 6 places, which that's huge. Pops and Jeff jumped 5 places. Then on the flip side of that, you have Jonathan and Anna dropping 7 places and Scott and Lori dropping 8 places from the previous leg. So big shakeups in the order.
I'm curious to see if Scott and Lori and Jonathan and then Anna would have had the drops they had if they had done the U-turn the way Kevin said it and not had everyone starting in the same time and basically equalize the running order before the U-turn.
Yeah. Well, I think that
'Cause I feel like
while
Scott and Lori would still be here in that case.
Scott and Lori might still be here, but I think they would still be at the very back of the pack.
Yeah.
So it would be if they did still stagger it, you think that Nick and Mike would be going home?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. We both loved them in like the cast release, and they just have been.
We did a draft, and they were my first overall pick, and they have just not lived up to it.
Hey, still a lot of season left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we watched 25, and there was a team that was middle to back of the pack the whole season, and they made it all the way to the finale doing that. So you just have to do just enough to not go home each episode.
Exactly.
Not only made it to the finale, they won.
Well, yeah, but he hasn't seen it, so I was trying to not.
He's going to forget this before he ever gets back to
I
that.
certainly will. The amount of
also
reality
didn't say their
TV that
names,
I
so I
watch.
don't know what I was worried about, but
Yeah, on a weekly basis, the amount of reality TV that I watch that clutters my brain, and I have no mental capacity or time to go back and watch previous seasons. So in 5 years, when all's said and done over here or whenever, I will certainly be going to rewatch, but I'm going to start with Survivor, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. So this was a fun episode.
It was. So, Kevin, being
Yeah.
the resident fantasy reality TV expert, who I think it's 3 picks for advanced next week for Amazing Race. Who are you drafting for your squad?
I took Alyssa and Josiah, Brett and Mark, Carson and Jack.
I really like that lineup.
I
think that's a
really
solid
think
lineup.
I really think those are like the 3 strongest teams here.
I actually am fully aligned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And which is also kind of Alyssa and Josiah have gotten some screen time, but I think they could be a sneaky finale dark horse.
Yeah. I didn't do as well last week in advanced because I've been betting on Jonathan and Anna bring me in points because they have all season.
Yeah.
And then this time they got me 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
So
That'll happen sometimes.
yeah. But my first impressions are kind of broken at this point. Let me see. Oh, I still have Brett and Mark and Alyssa and Josiah in the finale, but my winner was my favorite team who I've been kind of hoping was gonna turn things around, and then they went home in 10th place. So
that was Bernie and Kerrigan.
Bernie and Kerrigan, yep.
I actually really wanted. I mean, we didn't get nearly enough time because I think they got eliminated during the premiere. I would have loved to see more of what was it, Larry and
Mark
Steve?
and Larry.
Or Mark and Larry, yeah.
Yeah. One of them introduced themselves as Handsome Stranger, and that became the title of our podcast that week.
Sweet, love it. Yeah, I would like to see more of them. I'd like to see some more of Pops and Jeff. I think.
Yeah.
I just a little more backstory there. But other than that, I think if I had to bet, I would take Brett and Mark or Carson and Jack to win the season.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In case anyone is curious, my 4 advanced for Survivor next week, because I just did this, are Camilla, Kyle, Shaheen, and Star.
Nice. 2 Ks and 2 S's. I love it.
I didn't even know
I have
that.
3 of those 4.
Star is just being her stock is rising each episode at this
I
point.
agree.
For real,
It's insane.
Call me crazy. I put Star in my lineup last week.
I should
Got
have.
me 34 points.
Hey,
I should have done that.
I still need to make my picks for this week. You guys are way ahead of the game. You're getting the.
Oh, I usually do it like Wednesday afternoon. You guys were talking about fantasy, so I got on there and did it so I wouldn't forget.
Brilliant. Love it. Well, you're from the Bracketology CEO to you both. You're getting the all-star star. It's not worth any points. You get bragging rights. But if you come in the top 10 of the leaderboard, then you certainly will get a big shout out from us once the season concludes.
Noted. Well,
there were 2 different times with Survivor that I've hit the elimination on confidence pool, though. I feel pretty good about that. But I'm still like 232nd on Bracketology Official League. But
we got a lot of people playing Survivor.
I was going to say I'll take it because that's 30,000 people. So I'll take 232.
Well, amen. Amen. Yeah, Survivor's been fun. It's been aside from The Bachelor where we got our start, Survivor's our largest show. We've got like 15,000 active players this season and it's going really well. So it's been fun. Appreciate you guys, being evangelists and playing and I hope you're having fun. And we got some big updates coming in the next 4 months or so. So stay tuned.
Do you guys have traders?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, they do. I played traders.
We had
nice. I forgot to look for that last season when it was starting.
Yeah, we're up to 29 reality TV and award shows.
Wow.
They have Dondi.
Yep. We've got The Voice and American Idol elimination games starting in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I got them in my queue waiting for the picks to open.
Yep, we're coming up. Once the top 20 get announced, we'll start loading those picks in.
I play Masked Singer, Challenge.
Kevin, you might be the OG number one. I mean, what you said, your next level chef, Top Chef.
Next level chef, 7th place. Oh, I play Top Chef too.
Of course he does.
Unbelievable. I love it.
And Master Chef when they're in season, Big Brother.
You're a legend.
Bachelor and Bachelorette.
You guys are both legends.
You're just showing off at this point.
Keep showing off. Keep showing off. I love it.
Well, Jonah, I know you're on a bit of a time constraint, so if you need to get out of here, we thank you for your time.
I appreciate you guys. Always fun to chat and great to see you in person as always. And I look forward to more discussions and more Survivor watch parties.
For sure, we'll
Yes.
have to get you back on Tribal Council chat with Brett sometime too.
Good deal. Sounds
Hey,
like a plan.
Bruce, sometime we'll have to make a trip up to watch Cards Cubs and sit in Jonah's section.
Come on down. We home opener was this past weekend, and we've been slinging the hot dogs and the beer. So when you guys
Nice.
are around, please come find me.
Baseball depresses me right now because the Cardinals have a great offense that can't win because our pitching stinks.
Yeah,
But
would you guys give up like 18 runs last night on Sunday Night Baseball?
we scored 7 runs and still lost.
Yeah,
It's
that's
ridiculous.
that's not a winning formula.
Our
But
offense was terrible last year. I'm like, oh, cool, we have an offense, but we have
the
Myers
offense has
Michaelis in our
improved
rotation,
without
so it
Goldschmidt.
doesn't matter.
So
And
addition by subtraction.
according to Instagram, this man here has the best hot dog call there is. So
That's true. Don't forget it. That's actually I probably have the second best. There's a guy named Antonio at Wrigley Field who that guy's a legend. And I'll send you a video of his because he is you can't beat him. He's the man.
Nice.
But cool. Well, appreciate your guys' time as always. Super fun to
yes,
chat.
Thank
And
you
we
for
will
coming on,
connect
bro.
soon.
thanks for being here, Jonah.
Always. Ciao.
See ya. All right,
Okay. That was fun. So, power rankings.
hang on.
I
Before we
don't
get into
wanna.
yes, before we do power rankings, we're gonna do quotes.
Okay.
All right. So Bruce does not have any quotes? Question mark.
I don't have an amazing race quote. I have a road trip quote I would like to share with you.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Let's set the scene here. Bruce and we are recording this on Monday. We kind of been dancing around it with Jonah on here, but last Wednesday, for the Survivor Mergatory episode, Bruce and I were in Chicago at Barcosina West Town with the Bryson Wynn Presents 48 tour, watching live along with 250 Survivor fans and as well as some Survivor alumni in Bryce Isaiah, Wendell Holland, Rome Cooney, Jatia Taylor, Ozzy, and Liana Wallace, and some Big Brother people as well. And Jonah was there, and so Bruce and I took a 4.5 hour road trip one way up to Chicago, and then the other way 4.5 hours back that night.
Yeah, so I feel like this quote is funnier without context, but I wanted to be a part of the quote segment still, so I'm sharing this because my jokes where I think I'm funny almost never elicit laughs from Kevin. They elicit eye rolls, which still make me feel successful. But he actually laughed at a joke I made for once. And it's because I said, is that tractor trailer up ahead of us a windmill? No
And that is
context will be provided because I feel like it's funnier that way.
no context will be provided.
From me, you can if you want to. But is that truck a windmill is my quote. My road trip quote for the quote segment.
Okay. If anybody actually wants to know what the heck that means, you can reach out to us. Otherwise, we're just going to leave that up for interpretation.
Am I wrong, though? Is it not funnier without context?
I feel like it's, to me, yes, but I feel like for anybody in the audience, they're going to be just too confused. It doesn't make sense.
I'll explain it then. Because Kevin said the windmills have the red flashing lights on them. So I decided in my head, anytime I saw red lights, I was going to ask him if it was a windmill.
Even if they weren't
like a
flash.
trailer up ahead of us that had red lights on the back of it. So I said, is that truck a windmill? And he laughed. And I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, I was not expecting him to say that. So that's why I laughed. But he was asking it about everything, about the stoplights we'd see or cell phone towers. It didn't matter.
It got old eventually, but I also created a new product, cell phone tower windmill, which is a cell phone tower with a propeller on it. So that joke was funny for the first 100 or so things I asked if they were windmills. But it started with the truck.
Anyway,
The truck was a windmill, by the way.
no, it's not. Anyway, quotes. We're going to be monkeying around. Go crazy, go bananas.
I
That was what
remember that.
Josiah said when they found out they were going to the monkey forest. Jeff says everybody is not built for chaos, but we are.
I have "We're not friends anymore."
Oh, yeah. Or Jonathan's, it's not funny, but he says, I don't want to U-turn anybody.
That's fair.
I don't, but it was Jonathan, so I don't know how much I believe that. But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
When Carson and Jack and Brett and Mark were the first people to get to the roadblock, Mark said, "It feels like we're on a little gay beach hanging out."
I remember that.
And then I got karma is a you know what. The words from Nick or from Mike.
Yeah.
And that's what I got for quotes this week. Bruce, it is time for
Power rankings. What do you have at number 8?
I never go first.
Yeah, we're mixing it up.
I don't like that.
Variety is the spice of life.
I don't do spice. I have Nick and Mike.
I do too, actually.
I'm as much as I love them, they keep landing at the back. No matter how much of a head start they get anywhere, they keep landing at the back. And it's hard to justify anything more.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 7, I have Melinda and Erica.
I actually do too.
Stop copying me.
Fine, I'll go first next round. We'll go back and forth on who goes first.
Okay. But I have Melinda and Erica. I don't want to put them this low, and I wish I didn't have to. But they kind of regressed a little bit. I think Mom's getting tired.
Yeah.
And that's why I put them where I did. All right, who do you have at 6?
Pops and Jeff.
I do too.
Stop copying me.
Gosh.
Yeah, how do you like being yelled at?
Do you want to elaborate?
I think they're the 6th best team so far.
Give me something more than that.
They finished 4th this week, but there's 2 teams that finished behind them that I put ahead of them. So they kind of land here. I think they'll continue to climb, but
Okay. I hope they do. Who do you have in 5th?
no, you go first this time. You
No,
didn't
I
share your
did
pick.
2. I did 2. You can do 2.
Okay, Han and Holden.
Me too.
Stop copying me.
This is ridiculous.
I kind of hope the whole list is like this at this point.
I'm gonna cry. Why do you have Hunt and Holden at 5th?
They finished behind Pops and Jeff, but they've had higher placements the last couple episodes.
Yeah, I feel like they've been moving in an upward direction, and Pops and Jeff have too, but Hunt and Holden are kind of finally coming into their own.
I would like to note that for the first couple episodes in a row, we had them last in our rankings, and they're now up to 5th in mine.
Yeah, and mine.
Oh, that's right.
In 4th, I have Jonathan and Anna.
Oh, we don't have the same list. I put Alyssa and Josiah here.
Okay, I have Jonathan and Anna. The funny thing is, I almost put Alyssa and Josiah, but I changed my mind.
I have Jonathan and Anna at 3.
I have Jonathan and Anna here. They have been strong. I don't think that they are inherently the best team.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of Jonathan. So this is where they land for me. Why do you have Alyssa and Josiah at 4th?
I was between them and Jonathan and Anna, and I just feel like taking the whole season into account, Jonathan and Anna have been a little bit stronger performance-wise and finish-wise. so I give them the edge here. But I did drop Jonathan and Anna 2 spots because of losing so many places at the double U-turn.
Yeah. All right. My 3 was Josiah and Alyssa.
Stop copying me.
I didn't.
I'm just. Oh, that's right. Sorry. I guess I just wanted to yell at you.
Yeah,
Oh
sounds
well.
about right. Was Josiah and Alyssa. And, man, I really like this team. Honestly, Alyssa and Josiah are probably my favorite team left.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that they're gonna make a deep run, but these other 2 teams are just stronger right now.
Yeah.
And you have who in third?
Jonathan and Anna.
Jonathan and Anna.
So we flip flopped 3 and 4.
Yeah, yeah. Who do you have at second?
Brett and Mark.
Me too.
It's funny at this point.
And do you want to speak as to why?
Yeah, so their performance challenges have been really good. I kind of talked last week how their finishing spots have been pretty average, but they turned it up this week. Their finish matched their performance this week, and I assume that's going to keep happening.
Yeah, yeah. I think that they got back to where I think they rightfully should be at the top of the pack. And I think that they're going to stay up here. And that means we both put Carson and Jack at the top. And Carson and Jack have been the most consistent team, I would say, of the competition. While Jonathan and Anna have finished higher than them a couple times, Carson and Jack have not left the top 3, I don't think.
And you weren't very high on them when we were dissecting.
Preseason, yeah, I was not high on them.
I don't remember if I was or not. I feel like I might not have been, but I don't remember for sure. So I'm not gonna criticize
You drafted
myself.
them.
I might not deserve it.
You drafted them.
Well, I don't remember where though. Towards the end, it was just.
I think you drafted them in like 5th.
Okay, so I was higher on them than you were, but
yeah,
they weren't standouts.
Okay, that my bad. They got 4th on leg 2, but they've gotten 2nd every leg since that. 1st, 4th, 2nd, 2nd, 2nd. They are the most consistent team on the race.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's kind of where I land, and we saw where you land, and this has been a great episode.
The spots we landed were like the same spot.
I know, drove me nuts.
Kind of funny.
You and I usually don't agree that much
on anything, really. No, that's not true. It was funny though.
It is true that we don't agree that much.
Honestly, after it happened like 3 times, I was rooting for the whole list to be that way.
It almost did.
And that didn't quite. Huh. A reminder just went off on my phone to print and practice a sermon I'm preaching tonight, but I did it with Siri telling it, and what just popped up on my phone is Finish Sherman.
Who's Sherman?
I'm about to find out. Oh, Siri. Okay. No, I'm not calling you. Shut up. She's deactivated when I said her name there.
Yeah, that happens. But yeah, this was really fun. Really enjoyed getting to chat with Jonah about the Amazing Race and you.
Yes. You enjoyed talking to Jonah about me, or you enjoyed talking with me?
Both.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, as we do you have any more thoughts on the episode before we get ready to do the plugs and everything?
It was a good episode.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for checking us out here today. Make sure to check out our other Reality Realm content. We have Tribal Council Chat coming out every Saturday. I haven't listened to this week's episode yet. I'm a little behind to my podcast.
How dare. Okay.
I'll get it going today sometime. But we also have Next Generation Challenge podcast that comes out periodically with Brett and TT talking about the Challenge All Stars 5 rivals. And in about a couple months' time, look to have some more roundtable talk coverage coming your way. As always, every week you can catch us here with the Pitstop Pals. We drop on Tuesdays. And please check out our Redbubble merch store. Link is in our social media bios. Also, check out our TikTok channel where we are not as viral as Jonah, but we push out some good content. So make sure to check that out. All of that being said, the world is waiting for you. Good luck.
Travel safe.
Go.
Go.